Shalom, Yashrala. This your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Ruchach Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, Akim, pushing this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. All right, we're going to jump into this here lesson, which is like almost like a beginner's lesson, you know. We got some new brothers coming into this here truth. And, you know, everybody needs to be built up and edified, you know. So we're going to deal with this here lesson about being in bondage. You know, we still in bondage till this day. You know, there's a thing that the scriptures talk about, you know, when you eat this here roll or this scroll, you know, it's going to be sweet in your mouth and bitter in your belly. All right. And pertaining to that is, going into that is, when you Jake first walk into this truth, you know, you're in a mind state, you know, for the most part of being downtrodden and just being at the bottom of the barrel from being Jake in this society, you know. And, you look around and see how your people are treated, you know, and you don't really feel like too much of shit, you know. But nevertheless, you wind up finding out things like, hold on, let me give you some examples because, you know, this is what's prophesied, you know. I was going to get that. Okay, I know where. Let me see. This is Malachi chapter 1. Verse 2, you know, it says, I have loved you, saith Yahweh, yet you say, wherein hast thou loved us? Okay, so we ask that question to the Most High, you know, a lot of the times where, you know, there was a movie like that, there's this movie, right, a Jake movie, right, back in the day, you know, roughly paraphrasing, homeboy was saying something like this, they was like, do you believe in God? You know, it was this movie with like Ice Cube and shit, right? He was like, do you believe in God? And he's like, no, how can there be a God with all this so-and-so going on and, I hit my button, with all this crazy shit going on? How can there be a God, you know? And so basically that's kind of like an internal question that Jake asked, you know, whenever he's just dealing with a situation. Like, man, damn, how can there, you know, be a God, or God must not love us? You know what I'm saying? We in the ghettos and the slums. We work all these hours and all kind of oppression going on. You see how people getting shot down in the street back in the day, sprayed with water hose, dogs sicked on us, you know. Jake, sometimes, you know, especially the male Jake and they somewhat right conscious mind, you know, they would ask this question, you know. They'd be like, damn, man, where's the love from God, man? I don't see no love, you know. And that's another one of the reasons why a lot of you don't see a lot of straight, like heterosexual, straight-minded men, not to say like straight versus homosexual-minded men, but just forward-thinking men inside these Christian churches today, you know, because they see what's going on around them, and yet they don't receive the proper food that's being fed at these churches, you know. So they think it was some kind of same mind. Hey, man, how the Most High love us when all this shit's going on with us, all right? But nevertheless, you know, the Most High got this, you know, these answers for us right here in these scriptures, you know. This is our comfort. This is what's supposed to comfort us in these times, you know. So, you know, Jake, like I'm explaining in those churches, you know, he don't understand that he a Jake. He don't understand what's going on because he being, you know, misled inside these churches. That's why, like I said, they don't be there. But nevertheless, you know, like I'm saying, he's saying in his mind, like, damn, man, how God love us when we in these projects, these ghettos, and all this is going on, and crackheads, crack babies, you know, all kind of crazy shit, you know. So, but the Most High is letting us know that he loves us, you know. We went off, broke his commandment, lost his commandments. Actually, we're going to go there in a second. This is Malachi 1 and 2 again. It says, I have loved you, saith Yahweh, yet you say, wherein thou hast loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith Yahweh? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons in the wilderness. You know, we're not going to go too much into that because I do plenty of lessons talking about Esau, Edom, you know. Whereas, you know, he's going to get his judgment for, you know, the things that he's done, you know. I mean, right now it seemed like he, you know, again, asking that question, how does God love us when we in the projects and we starving and this and that, and the so-called white man, you know, got billions and trillions of dollars, man? What kind of shit is this? What's going on in society? You know, so we'll say these things sometimes to compare ourselves like a sane thinking so-called black man or something like that, like a Jake, you know, in the world. They're like, man, I don't get this shit, man. These guys is living on high, you know what I'm saying, and they wicked, you know what I'm saying, and look at us, we all just downtrodden, man. Where's God at, you know? And so sometimes our men, they just kind of just go their own way. But nevertheless, hey, the Most High got a whole beautiful thing in arrangement for us. But at this point in time, all right, we're going to grab that. We had a covenant with the Most High, all right? This is Deuteronomy 28 and verse 15. And this is part of the covenant, part of the agreement that we made. All right. It's just like when you go get you a car and you sign that with car, that agreement basically to get that car, right? They say, hey, look, you make your payments, so you put X amount of dollars down, we can secure you for a payment of X amount of dollars every month for X amount of time, X amount of years, right? You pay your shit on time, everything will be good. You know what I'm saying? You incur any late penalties, we're going to charge you X amount of dollars for interest. All right. And if you just stop paying on it, we're going to just take the car back. We're going to repossess it, But nevertheless, these are the conditions that you sign up for this contract. You make this agreement. All right, look, I get to reap the rewards of driving this here nice car at the expense of what? You know what I'm saying? Paying for this here car, making these car payments on time. But if I stop making these car payments on time, I don't get to enjoy the luxuries of driving this here nice car. So the same way with us, all right? We had the so-called sacrifice, you know what I'm saying, or invest or give up, like how I was saying, you paying for the car, right? We had to follow the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High, all right? And what we got in return was the Most High, let me read verse 1, Deuteronomy 28 and verse 1. It says, and it shall come to pass if thou shalt hearken diligently to the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that Yahweh thy power will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come on thee, and shall overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy power. And so they go into a lot of blessings all the way down to verse 14 about all the blessings the Most High was going to do for us if we kept the commandments, all right? But if we was to break the commandments, he was going to bring these curses upon us, all right? And so we're going to get into that. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 15. It says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. All right. So basically, it's like I said, going to go buy a car. Look. So the thing is, you're going to be put on high, right? You're going to get to drive this nice new Benz. All you got to do is make the payment or follow the law, statutes, commandments, follow our agreement that we made. You see what I'm saying? But if you don't make the payment on the car, all right, then you don't get to enjoy being on high riding in the new Benz. We're going to come and repossess that. And then we're going to fuck up your credit, all right? It's going to be hard for you to get a job, all right? Now, all these curses are going to come upon you, okay? So the same thing, all right? So we're going to just jump down to some of these curses, all right? This is Deuteronomy 28 and 64. It says, and Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other, all right? And so, that's where they these so-called scholars and all that get that so-called diaspora from, all right? And that's some bullshit. There's no place in history where, well, the so-called white man was, kind of like, he spread himself, he migrated, came out of the Caucasus Mountains. But there's nobody on the planet Earth, all right, that has ever been in no diaspora. There's no people on the planet Earth, okay, that fits that description and that definition. And first of all, that definition, diaspora, all right, only refers to the so-called, to the Israelites, all right? How they talk about this in the scriptures, how the Most High say, like right here, where he says, Deuteronomy 28 and 64, and Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people. That's where they get the basis and the definition of a diaspora from. But there's nobody on the history of the planet Earth that fits that, all right? The only people that fit anything somewhat, how do you say, that resembles that by definition, when you go into a diaspora, what the definition of it is basically when the so-called Jews were scattered throughout the whole earth. All right. Now, 70 AD in Roman times. All right. Now, 70 AD, right after when after the Lord was crucified, right? A couple decades later, 70 AD, the Romans came in and sacked Jerusalem. All right. And it was prophesied unto us then to flee basically into the mountains, and basically we was going to go into Africa. Okay. Africa wasn't that damn far, it was a 3-day journey to Egypt. All right. Egypt is on the continent of Africa, right? The Lord parents walked there. You see what I'm saying? So nevertheless, running from Roman persecution, okay, the Romans was the so-called white man. All right. And we letting you know that the Israelites was Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Now, however, the bulk and the majority of the Northern Kingdom, the Kingdom of Israel, okay, the Latinos and the Native Americans, the so-called Latinos and Native Americans, they had been long gone, and they had already been over in the Americas at this point in time, all right? But at this point in time, you had the Southern Kingdom, the Kingdom of Judah, all right? The so-called Negroes, the so-called Haitians, and the so-called West Indies, all right? Now, these people happen to go into, you can Google this, Wikipedia this, 70 AD, all right, when the Romans came and sacked Jerusalem, all right? It was said that, millions of Jews fled into Africa. Now we know, like I said, the Romans was the so-called white man, all right? I'm telling you that the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are the children of Israel, but we're only dealing with, the Southern Kingdom for this, this piece of history. There was some Northern Kingdom, but predominantly it was just the Southern Kingdom, all right, the Kingdom of Judah, which you people today now would know as them as the so-called black tribes, right? But nevertheless, they wound up hiding from the Romans in Africa, right? Egypt. They were all dark-skinned people. So if you running from a so-called white man, right? If the Romans was white and the Israelites was white, why the hell would they hide amongst dark nations, Africans? You see what I'm saying? But however, like I'm telling you, these was the dark tribes, the so-called black people, right? They wound up going and hiding amongst the Africans, all right? Now, throughout time and history, you had something called the sub-Saharan slave trade, all right? That's where you wound up getting, you know what I'm saying? A lot of us being transported from the East Coast, the East Coast of Africa to the West Coast of Africa, all right? And then also in the times of, throughout, like, when you go into, like, the Dark Ages and stuff like that, and also when the Moors, you know what I'm saying? That's how we became Moors, you know what I'm saying? Throughout the damn sub-Saharan slave trade, we was captive by the damn Muslims, right? Or the Arabs. Let me say this correctly. We was captured by the Arabs, whose religion was Islam, right? So we was forced converted to that religion, all right? And then we wound up taking over some shit, right? Europe, Spain, and shit like that. That's where you get the Moors and that history like that from, all right? And the Dark Ages and things like that, right? That was us spreading through that whole area and all that time. That's how we wound up, you know what I'm saying, in the western coast, all right? That's how we got all the way over there, all right? Then they wound up taking us in captivity from the western coast of Africa into America, all right? That was the, and that's what you call, at that point in time, all right, this was, way later, you know what I'm saying, the 1600s at this point in time now. But nevertheless, at that point in time is what you call the transatlantic slave trade, all right? Now, at this point in time is when you actually have the fulfillment of this here prophecy where it says, and Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth, even to the other end of the earth. All right. Because, right prior to the transatlantic slave trade was when, you know what I'm saying? The so-called world found out about this side of the globe. All right. The natives was over here. They knew about this, but they didn't come back to the other side of the globe to tell nobody about it. Well, you know what I'm saying? They actually did know about this side because Solomon was getting gold and shit from over here. But nevertheless, you see them saying they had just been over here, was cut off from the rest of the world. The rest of the world came over and the so-called like opened up a region of the map where it was like, you know what I'm saying, the whole globe at this point. All right. Now in the transatlantic slave trade, that was when we were scattered from the so-called eastern side of the globe to now the western side of the globe, and then vice versa, back and forth. Not only that, the children, the Northern Kingdom, the Kingdom of Israel, the Latinos and the Native Americans, they were then transported in the slave trade from this side over to the other side. All right. This is how they got spread back on that side of the globe as well. So that was the fulfillment of scattering us among all people throughout the whole four corners of the earth. All right. But it says from one end of the Deuteronomy 28:64 says, it's a lot. Give me 1 second, man. 1 second. It says, Deuteronomy 28:64, and Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth, even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods. All right, meaning like these new religions and things like that, right? Which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. All right, and then shit. Look at the shit that we got going on now. If you was to go back in time now and tell our forefathers, Jacob, Judah, Manasseh, Ephraim, Benjamin, tell like the original, like the first ones that was naming them those names, you know what I'm saying? Not their descendants, but just tell them, Jacob himself, You know what I'm saying? Look, bro, what y'all popping off over there nowadays? Like, shit, you got motherfuckers worshiping the Baphomet over here. You know what I'm saying? You got motherfuckers over here worshiping, just all kind of crazy shit. And they be like, nigga, what's the Baphomet? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you got people worshiping Beyonce. Like, what the hell is a Beyonce? You see what I'm saying? It's all kind of crazy new shit that they got going on over here, you know? But nevertheless, verse 65, all right? Because we getting into these conditions of being in bondage, all right? Now, overall, you know, for you brothers who don't quite know and understand this, you know, you just knew coming into this. Yes, like we read earlier in verse 15, if we broke the covenant, these was the curses that's gonna fall upon us, all right? Not saying that the Most High gonna just like, oh, I'm gonna kill y'all, fuck y'all, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? Nah, it ain't like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you as a father with your child. You got laws and statutes and commandments in your household. Look, son, you come home, you do your homework, you get good grades, you do X, Y, and Z, you take out the trash, and boom, 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 right? Now, all of a sudden, your son come home, he got the teacher calling, talking about, you know, little Derek, you know what I'm saying, or little Twan or whatever, you know what I'm saying, being a class clown in class, and he getting F's on his report card, you know? He won't stop talking, he keep disrupting people, and he being a bully and trying to fight folk, right? Now, he come home from school, right, and you tell homeboy, listen, I'm taking away your Xbox, your PlayStation, all your little video games, and your telephone, your iPad, and whatever else kind of shit you into, you know? I'm putting you on punishment. You know, I'm taking all this away from you. No, give me the keys to the car. No more hanging out. Give me all that, right? Now, this is going to punish and hurt your son down to the core, especially in today's society. They need their phone to survive, you know what I'm saying? That's like an oxygen tank. But nevertheless, you know, this is going to kill your son inside, you know, this is going to hurt him and fuck him all kind of up, you know, and that's the point that what you're trying to prove. You're trying to discipline him to show him, you know, right from wrong, you know what I'm saying? And the consequences, you know what I'm saying? He got to pay judgment for what he did, you know, you teaching him a lesson. You're not doing it to terrorize and harm your child. You're not trying to be like, you know what, I'm going to just be basically like a terror unto my son. You know what I'm saying? I just want to see this nigga in pain and agony and hurting and crying like a bitch. No, you're doing it to build him up. You know what I'm saying? To show him right from wrong. Look, son, you know what I'm saying? Right now you playing a child's game. You know, you just in school getting bad grades. You know what I'm saying? Being a reprobate. But when you get into the real world and you do that with the police and shit and other people, they might just pull out a gun and take your life. You know what I'm saying? So you need to get right now before you mess up later. You know, and hopefully he'll learn his lesson. You know what I'm saying? By the discipline, right? But it's not like you cutting your son off forever and you hating your son. Like, you know what, son, you got these F's. Get your shit, get out my house. We gonna go sign some paperwork. I'm disowning your ass, you know, forever. Nah, no parent in their right mind would do that. All right. Same thing here. All right. So it's not we cut off forever. And that's what salvation is. We about to get saved from our enemies. All right. So don't really worry about that much. But we gonna just try to deal with, you know what I'm saying, being patient. All right. And having faith in our deliverance that we're about to get, you know what I'm saying, in the time being while we're here. All right. So it says, Deuteronomy 28:65, it says, and among these nations thou shalt find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but Yahweh shall give thee a trembling of heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have no assurance of thy life. All right. And so, like I said to you new brothers, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that might be harsh sounding, you know what I'm saying? And yes, the Most High do love us, and this is our punishment. But hey, listen, you know what I'm saying? First and foremost, like I said, this thing might be good, how I say, sweet in your mouth, but bitter in your belly. All right, this is the reality of it, man. We here in captivity, you know. You might just find out you're an Israelite, you know, whatever, whatnot. You Deuteronomy 7:6. We supposed to be above all people, you know. You want to feel like you a king, and so on and so forth. We the princes of the power. We the gods of the universe, right? True enough, but right now we're in captivity, you know. We those angels that was cast into those chains of darkness, all right? We're in prison right now, all right? So we're not in a position to brag or boast or try to, how do I say, get out of line of our captivity. This captivity ain't got nothing to do with us and the so-called white man. You know what I'm saying? The so-called white man ain't your problem. Your problem is you. Your problem is between you and the Most High. You see what I'm saying? The so-called white man, he there. You see what I'm saying? You need to clean up your mess. All right. It's just like you driving around in your car with no tag on there, no license, and a dashboard full of cocaine. Right. And now the police pull you over. Right now you want to start blaming the police. oh man, look at the white man and so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. Like, nah, bro, the police in this situation is not your problem. Your problem is you ain't got no tag on your car, no license, no insurance, no none of that, and you riding around with a dashboard full of cocaine. You tell me where there ain't nothing wrong with that, right? Same thing with our situation. Nah, bro, it ain't the so-called white man fault, bro. It's your fault. You broke the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. He told you this what your punishment is, all right? Now, there's a little difference with Esau because, like the Most High said, you know what I'm saying, with his judgment at the time when they calamities had an end, you know what I'm saying, they just basically all gas, no brakes, you know what I'm saying? They didn't let up, you know? That's why he getting his judgment. And he was the wicked created for destruction anyway, all right? So that's on a little another note. But nevertheless, for you know, like I'm saying, you knew Jake is coming into this, all right, while it's still sweet in your mouth, you know what I'm saying, you got to understand and be prepared for this bitterness, all right? We still here in captivity. Not only that, we in the last captivity. Not only that, we in the last minutes of the last captivity, all right? And even more important, if you a man of the Lord, you know what I'm saying, or striving to be in this truth, man, Esau finna turn up even more. Well, look, the spiritual demon Satan, like I want to say, is gonna turn up on you. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily the carnal, fleshly human beings that you see walking forth before you. They not, you know, mentally thinking that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like Ephesians 6:12 say, hey man, we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but basically we have a spiritual warfare. All right. So you have to understand this and prepare your mind for this. You see what I'm saying? So you could be able to endure these afflictions. All right. The scriptures say that, but he that endureth unto the end, the same shall be saved. All right. This is just the beginning of the sorrows. You just waking up to you in captivity right now, and the shit ain't really even hit the fan yet. You got to be able to endure through this, you know? Yeah, I understand, and I know that it's going to be kind of hard in the walk and all this and that, especially knowing you're supposed to be kings over the universe, you know what I'm saying, over all these other nations, and knowing who your people are, especially in the eyes of the Most High, and what these heathen did to your people, and how low and how base these people are, these Edomites I'm speaking of, you know what I'm saying? Hey, bro, trust me, I know how you feel, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, hey, it's nerve-wracking every day to see that these goddamn heathen are reigning over us, you know, the base of men. But at the same time, we in our captivity. We have to understand that, you know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? We have to, how do I say, maintaining our lot, you know what I'm saying? We can't just be, how do I say, quick to just try to jump on Esau right now at this point in time, or come out of pocket with him, you know? Or better yet, for people who don't even understand that you're in captivity, you got to understand we're in captivity, all right? We in these conditions, not because we want to be in these conditions, not because we think we're in these conditions, but because the Most High said we was going to be in these conditions. There's nothing you can do to change these conditions, all right? These are going to be natural occurrences that's in your life. This is what's plaguing the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American man. Not really the woman, because they got Esau, and they, you know what I'm saying, to take care of them. But in particular the man, all right? This is why we in these straits every day, all right? Let me read that again. It says, Deuteronomy 28:65, it says, and among these nations thou shalt find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but Yahweh shall give thee a trembling of heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. All right, you're going to have a trembling of heart in this captivity, man. It's going to be hard. It's going to be, let me get this definition of trembling. All right, there's a couple of words in this lesson I want to pull out, you know what I'm saying, and show you, to give you more of the understanding of the type of so-called emotions, you know what I'm saying, that you're going to be feeling, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people in this truth, you know, like to throw that term around loosely, you know, are you just being emotional about this? You being emotional about that? Yes, sometimes people are being emotional about certain things, you know, and, you know, certain people are right in their statements that they're making about that. But however, you know what I'm saying, you have some people who just repeat certain things because certain things sound cool, you know, and they're like, oh, you just complaining about this and you complaining about that, blah, 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 blah. You know, well, the scriptures say, hey, man, the saints, they cry day and night, you know. They sigh and cry for the abominations thereof, you know. Basically, the prayers and the supplication of the saints, they cry unto the Lord, you know, daily. You see what I'm saying? So all these things are written, you know, in the scriptures that the men of the Lord, they're going to be going through these so-called atrocities, these so-called, I don't know if you want to call them feelings or not, but something is being pressed upon these people to make them react like this. All right. That's saith the scriptures. Now, when you look into the world, are the people who is actually being oppressed like this, man, they're going to actually be having these same so-called feelings or these so-called emotions. All right. So let me read this word trembling, or, it says trembling, quivering, or quaking. All right. Timid, trembling. All right. So nevertheless, you know what I'm saying? You're going to be like, how do I put it? It's gonna be like somebody in a scary movie in a dark corner. You know what I'm saying? And somebody, or any of these so-called mass shooting scenarios or whatever. Let's say somebody come up in there and be spraying, going from classroom to classroom, and you just hear them down the hall or some shit, just going through exterminating everybody, and they getting closer and closer, and you hiding up under a desk somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And you just hoping that they don't see you and hear you. They come into the classroom and you see some feet walking right around you. You know what I'm saying? And they going around shooting everybody up under the desk around you. You know what I'm saying? And they next in line to your desk. You know what I'm saying? And you just fucking shivering and trembling in your boots. All right. These are the type of so-called feelings that is going to be placed upon you up in these captivities. All right. Inside this bondage. All right. This is what the definition of being in captivity and bondage mean. All right. Not just saying that, well, your name ain't on the title of the shit. Somebody else actually own the shit and you renting it. You know what I'm saying? No, bro. They psychologically, physically, and mentally putting this shit down on you and spiritually on you. All right. Especially you, Jake, that's got your hand onto the plow of this. All right. It's not going to be an easy walk. All right. It says, verse 66, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and thou shalt have no assurance of thy life. All right. So from there, we're going to jump to, let me see, all right, we'll go to Joel chapter 3, verse 6. All right. So we just read about basically, the curses that will fall upon us if we broke the commandments, right? That happened. We went into captivity. All right. We were sold in the transatlantic slave trade. You read verse 68 basically tell you he was going to go into Egypt again, to bondage again by ships. All right. And that's how we got over here on this landmass. All right. This is the book of Joel chapter 3, verse 6. It says the children of Judah and the children of Jerusalem, Judah being the southern kingdom, all right, the kingdom of Judah, and the children of Jerusalem being the northern kingdom, the kingdom of Israel. The southern kingdom being the so-called Negroes, Haitians, so-called Haitians, and the so-called West Indies, all right, the peoples from the West Indies islands, all right. The northern kingdom, the kingdom of Israel, is the so-called Latinos and Native Americans, all right. But nevertheless, it says the children of Judah and the children of Jerusalem, or the whole house of Israel, all right, have you sold unto the Grecians, or the so-called white man, who is Esau, Edom, according to the Bible, all right, that you may remove them far from their borders, all right, and that's exactly what happened, all right, according to history, all right, the so-called Grecians, all right, under a different name, all right, there was Europeans, but when you follow the Grecians evolved or swapped over to being who? The Romans, all right, the Romans, as we read, on a different topic about that beast, that had a wound to the head, but did that deadly wound to the head, but did live, that's, just straight out telling you, that the Grecian Empire morphed into the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire morphed into what? All the way down the line into which you had the British Empire. Now it's what? The Anglo-American Empire, or the American Empire. All right. Same shit. All right. But, so it says we was going to be sold into the Grecians. Let me just jump back to Deuteronomy 28 and verse 68 real fast. It says, and Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt, with ships. So again, with ships. All right. So now Egypt being the house of bondage. All right. That's talking about captivity. All right. Now Egypt's only a 3-day walk. All right. You don't need ships, and they never went into Egypt by ships. Nowhere documented that they ever went into the land of Egypt in slavery on ships. All right. And they walked, 70 souls walked in, and the Lord delivered the whole nation of Israel, on dry ground through the Red Sea. All right. So they didn't leave, in those ships. They didn't go into Egypt or back into Egypt on ships. They was talking about the transatlantic slave trade when we were sold into the Grecians, by the Africans, to the so-called white man, and, the ships that was funded and built by the so-called Jewish man, all right, the Amalekites, which are Edomites, all right, that they all came into, the transatlantic slave trade, all right. Just touching on that real quick, building in the spirit. This is the book of Psalms 83, verse, I'm going to start at verse 2. It says, Psalms 83 and 2, for lo, thine enemy make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their heads. So these people are proud. They came together. All right, the ones that hate the Most High. All right, mainly who? The Edomites, the so-called white man, which they'll talk on it. Verse 3, it says, they have taken a crafty counsel against thy people and have consulted against thy hidden ones. All right, and in modern day, you see that as what? The UN. All right, that's what this UN whole deal is all about. All right, and that's why you don't ever see none of the Israelites being represented in none of them damn panels. That's what these people global dominant. Now, when you go higher up than that, Now you got bullshit politics on every level, local, state, and federal government. You know what I'm saying, over the whole U.S. type of shit, and then international between the different nations. All that's bullshit. You know, the real governance is in these elites. All right, the Rothschilds on down. Now, what is the Rothschilds conspiring to do? All right, now we know the Rothschilds through the spirit. You know, it's basically Esau Edom, like the actual family line of, like, that's actually these niggas reincarnated. You know what I'm saying? Esau Edom and his 5 sons. You know, that's that nigga reincarnated for real. You know, but nevertheless, these are the people who are in charge of creating these councils, Council on Foreign Relations, Council Trilateral Commission, you know, the Council of this, the Council of that. These are the people that's in charge of all these things, all right, at the top of the pyramid. So these are the enemies of the Most High, chiefly, what they claim to be chiefly from the house of Amalek, the Jewish people. But, you know, it don't matter. At the end of the day, they are Edomites, so-called white people. All right, so it says, for lo, thy enemies make a tumult. They that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. And what did they say? This is their agenda. All right. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation. All right. Basically, let's exterminate them. All right. That the name of Israel may be in no more remembrance. All right. Now, in the long scheme of plans, they like, look, we're going to basically eradicate these people. We're going to genocide their ass out. It's going to take a long ass time, but we're going to do it in multiple different ways to get the end result. And there's going to be no resistance. You know what I'm saying? We're going to, first of all, we're going to break their, how you say, their culture and their remembrance of who they are. You know what I'm saying? They whole shit that they come down the line with, you know, because a lot of that is important. You know, if we can remember how we fought, why we fought, who our God was, why we was together, who we was, that would make us stronger as a unit. But Esau came in and corrupted all those things, right? All right, that was phase 1. Then he moved us up off our damn land and put us in captivity, taught us a different language. Move number 2. Then stripped our religion, all right, quote unquote religion, from us and gave us a new one. All right, then he gave us a whole new language. Then he changed up our names and then split us up, talking about we one brothers. You know what I'm saying? Did all this diabolical stuff. And then furthermore, genocided us, enslaved us. All right. Then furthermore, enacted policies for what? Like things like Planned Parenthood. All right. All these things to basically kill off Jake. So he breaking us spiritually. So we don't no longer have no remembrance of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah, Ba'Shem Rakakodash. We no longer have that remembrance in our head no more. Those names in our heads no more. All right. Then he break us from our so-called culture, whatever, whatnot, you know, keeping the law, statutes, commandments, and just what we did and who we were and who they were. All right. Then he came through and gave us a whole new language so we wouldn't even go back to none of that. And like I said, gave us a new religion and all that extra BS. But now look at us. We call ourselves black and everything like that. So we don't, you know what? We don't call ourselves Israel or Israelites or nothing like that. We say we black men, Negroes and things like that. So he completely decided to cut us off. That's what he did after he brought us into captivity. All right. Verse 5, for lo, they have consulted together with one consent. All right. So let me just go into the word. It says this is for consulted, to advise, to consult, to give counsel, purpose, devise, plan. So they basically sat down at a council, like the council, or to deliberate, to counsel together, to conspire. All right, with one breath. You know, that's what they was doing. You know what I'm saying? Like they say, a conspiracy is a plan or a plot to do something. All right, and but nevertheless, and I believe a conspiracy actually has to have a crime involved in it. Like you can't just say. I believe, if I'm mistaken, Salakia, but I believe if you like to say, I want to conspire to go to the store to buy something, that's not really you and a friend, y'all both agreed to go to the store to buy something. That's not really a conspiracy. But if you was to say, me and my friend, we're going to go to the store to rob the store, I think that would be a conspiracy. Y'all, you know, with one consent, you know, conspiring to commit a crime. But nevertheless, this is what these people are doing. The United Nations and these other nations, they coming together with Esau, Edom, all collectively, all right, to come against the Lord's children, all right, keep us in slavery. Like the scriptures say, through thy seed, all the nations of the earth shall be blessed. And, you know, them keeping us in slavery, we building up their shit, you know. They using, you know what I'm saying, our so-called talents and abilities to enrich them and build them up, all right. We their slaves at this point in time, all right. But nevertheless, they sat down and they came up, devised a plan, and consulted together with one another, conspired together with one another, all right. It says, for they have consulted together with one consent, all right, with an agreement, all right. They are confederate against thee, all right. So they done ganged up, you know what I'm saying? It's a squad of them, you know what I'm saying? All these other nations, all right, besides us, you know what I'm saying? We're not gonna, well, we are against ourselves, but under they're planning. This is they whole agenda together. They all got one consent together, not to feed the whole world population, to make world peace. Nah, they just like, we got to kill these niggas first and foremost, and then we can settle the rest of it later. All right. And it's being headed by who? Verse 6, the tabernacles of Edom, the so-called white man, the Ishmaelites, the so-called Arabs, of Moab, the so-called Chinese, and the Hagarenes and Gabal, the so-called Hamites, or the Africans, and Ammon, the so-called Japanese, and Amalek, the so-called Jewish people, which they are the so-called white man tribe of Esau Edom. They just one of the tribes, like Judah is a tribe of one of the 12 tribes of Israel. All right. So it says in Palestine and the inhabitants of Tyre. But nevertheless, you know what I'm saying? These are the people who conspired together, all right, to take us and put us into captivity. All right. And so, this is, also backing up the fact that they said, let me go back to that real fast. Because we had just read about, hang on. We read in Joel 3:6 how it says, you have sold them to the Grecians. All right. Well, the so-called white man didn't sell us to the white man. That was actually being directed to the so-called Hamites, the Africans, because they're the ones who sold us, rounded us up, and sold us to the so-called white man. All right. It was the Africans. All right. So going back down to Psalms 83, like I said, the tabernacles of Edom, they was the ones, those was the receivers of the so-called transatlantic slave trade. They was the ones who received the slaves. All right. The Ishmaelites, like I said, in the sub-Saharan slave trade, these were the people who actually rounded them up from the eastern side of Africa and brought them to the western side of Africa. All right. Was the so-called Ishmaelites. All right. And in the sub-Saharan slave trade. All right. Then the Hagarenes and Gabal, those are dealing with the and it says in the Philistines, all right, and the inhabitants of Tyre, that's dealing with them Hamites. All right. So you see the major players of the so-called transatlantic slave trade right here being spoken about, and then also it backs that up in Joel 3:6. All right, but you have sold. Let me get it because I just butchered it up. But Joel 3:6 again. It says, let me go back up one. Let me go back up two. Go back up to 3. Joel 3:3. It says they have cast lots for my people. All right, they basically selling them off. All right, like we read. And Deuteronomy 28, they was going to go into captivity by ships first and foremost. Second of all, they was going to be sold for bondmen and bond women. All right, it says they have cast lots for my people. All right, they basically bidding on their ass. All right, and they have given a boy for a harlot into prostitution or whoredom. All right, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. Now, when you go into the so-called historic facts of the what do they call it? Transatlantic slave trade, you see the so-called Edomites, or the Edomites, the so-called white man was giving the so-called Africans, the Hamites, I believe it was muskets, rum, and basically it was muskets and rum. All right, and then I believe that they was trading them back and forth for basically the boys to be harlots and things like that, and just slaves. All right, now I can't think of what that damn movie's called, but there's a movie that really highlights, there's a couple movies that highlight that, where they dressing these little boys up for sex objects. All right, and they trying to sell them off for those reasons. All right, but nevertheless, these was the items that was used in the transatlantic slave trade. All right, and again, here's the same people. All right, verse 4. Yea, what do you have to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? All right, again, dealing with these Hamites or Africans. All right, these are the same people who rounded us up and sold us to the white man. All right, that's why they say, your own people sold you. All right, it says, if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I recompense upon your own head. So the Most High say, you can't really pay me back, bro. And if you do, I'm gonna slap that shit out your hand. All right, verse 5. Because you have taken my silver and my gold and carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things, the children of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians, that they might remove that ye might remove them far off from their border. All right. So nevertheless, like I said, like the scriptures say, you know what I'm saying, they basically just drew out the transatlantic slave trade way before it even happened. And we actually go into the historic facts. These are all the players, and this is all the merchandise that was in that. All right. If you was to stop it midway through and bust it like a police, you know what I'm saying, raid or whatever, whatnot, to take all the evidence, you would see this is all the same evidence. You know, this is just like reading the description of what you got in evidence. You know, boys for harlots, wine, muskets, and these certain players. You know, you find the Africans, the so-called white man, the so-called Jewish man, you know, basically in league to sell us off, and the Arabs. All right. But continuing on, this is the book of Zechariah, chapter 11, verse 5. It says, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. All right. That's like a Jedi mind trick right there. You want to see a real act of a Jedi mind trick. Go around to any of these Edomites, right? The so-called white people, and ask them, you know, do they believe this is their land or whatever, whatnot? They be like, yeah, because my forefathers fought for their freedoms here and whatever, whatnot. They fought for this land. Find one that tell you about that, you know. But they'll never tell you who they fought for this land. They'll probably like, oh, the British, whatever, whatnot. But like, well, who was here before that? You know what I'm saying? It was like, oh, it was other white people. Those are my ancestors too. Well, who did they fight for this land? Oh, well, we don't even know. You know what I'm saying? And if they do admit it was the Native American Indians, all right, that was our people, you know, and they stole their land, you know. And then not only that, who did they bring over here to build up this land? All right, the so-called Negroes, all right, the Southern Kingdom, all right. But then now all these Edomites who talking about their forefathers, you know, came and fought and died and bled for this land and this flag. You see what I'm saying? None of them will tell you that they forefathers went back to owning slaves. You won't find out one Edomite that'll tell you that they forefathers basically probably had slaves. But yeah, that was probably us. You know what I'm saying? I come from a long line of Edomites around here, and yeah, we probably had slaves. Yeah, and not one of them will tell you, but every one of them will tell you that they inherited this land from their forefathers. But ironically, they just skipped the whole slave period. All right, but you had in history Edomites having us in captivity, but ain't none of them the descendants living today. They all just got into a UFO and disappeared somewhere. Who knows where they at? You know, Jedi mind trick. But nevertheless, it says, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, like they do today. All right, and they sell. You know, you should forget about slavery, whatever, whatnot. You know, but remember 9/11. All right, it says, and they that sell them say, blessed be Yahweh, or blessed be the Lord, or Yahweh, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. You know, they be like, oh, you know, God bless America. You know, thank God for our manifest destiny. This is how it's supposed to be. This is a God-fearing country. God bless America. God with us. You know, all these different things. You know, we rich. God let us prosper. God is in our favor. We the angelic sons of Isaac, the Anglo-Saxons. We the chosen people. We the Jews, whatever, whatnot. God is in our favor. And fuck them niggas, man. Their own people sold them into slavery, man. Why should we pity them? You see what I'm saying? Especially when their own people sold them into slavery. That's the role that these people play. All right. That's how these Edomites get down. All right. Let me jump real fast to the book of Baruch. This is Baruch chapter 3, verse 8. It says, behold, we are yet this day in our captivity. All right. So now Baruch lived in the time of the Babylonian captivity. Yeah, with Jeremiah. As a matter of fact, you know, the book of Jeremiah was written by Baruch. All right. Baruch was Jeremiah's scribe. All right. He was the one who actually penned the book of Jeremiah. All right. Jeremiah, he basically spoke. Baruch wrote it down. All right. Now, this is the same Baruch right here. All right, but this is in the Apocrypha, Baruch chapter 3, verse 8. It says, behold, yet we are this day in our captivity. All right, so from that point in time when Baruch was living, all right, we were still into that day in our captivity. All right, fast forward into time till this very day that you watching this video, no matter what day it is you watch this video, all right, we still in the captivity until that day too. All right, and we going to still be in captivity until guess what day? Until what day? All right. The day and the hour no man know of, that's the day that the Lord sent his son Yahweh shot down here to redeem us, set us free, and save us from our bondage and from our enemies, all right? But that day and that hour no man knoweth, but we know it's coming up soon. We see the signs, all right? So we know we're about to be free, but until that day happens, we are still until that day in our captivity, all right? So that's the bitterness of this here scripture or this scroll that's just taking place. Yeah, we the Most High's chosen people, and we special this and that, but yet we still into this day till we get up out of here in captivity. All right, and we gotta, you know what I'm saying, Be mindful of that. All right. It says, uh, verse 8 again, Baruch 3 and 8, it says, Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, to be subject to payments, according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from Yahweh our power. So we subject unto payments in this captivity. You know what I'm saying? So basically, if you subject unto something, you forced to do that. You know what I'm saying? That, you know what I'm saying? Maybe that's not your first priority in your mind and what you want to do. But guess what? You subject unto that. You see what I'm saying? That's you forced to make that your first priority, and you can't change that because you're in captivity. You being how they say, subjugated. You know what I'm saying? Under somebody else. You know what I'm saying? You in subjection unto somebody. All right. You being how they say, you being submissive unto somebody else. You see what I'm saying? I mean, hell, you ain't even got to be submissive. Motherfuckers gonna take the shit anyway. All right. But nevertheless, when you in that position, you can't change that. All right. So you have to be mindful of that. You know what I'm saying? It can't let knowing who you are and that you're an Israelite let you brag or boast, especially in this point in time. Because like the scriptures say here, we still into this day in captivity and subject unto payments. You know, and the scriptures also say, render unto Caesar which is what is Caesar's, you know. And so, you know, I have to keep these things in mind and be humble about the scenario and be patient and just have faith that, you know, the Lord is about to deliver us out of this captivity real soon. You know, we don't have much longer in this thing. You know, you're not in a role in a position to buck up against Esau and then start trying to bark on him, telling him what he gonna do. You know what I'm saying, at the job place or whatever, whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Look, Edomite, you finna give me this here day off because really you a base man and I'm over top you. I'm an Israelite. You know, fuck y'all niggas. Nah, you know what I'm saying? You still in captivity. You know, that's just like you know, the captain of the police shit. You know what I'm saying? Let's say he is in jail. Let's say overnight or for some bullshit, DUI or some shit like that. They hold him overnight. They book him. And somebody, you know what I'm saying, he thinks somebody being an asshole to him, but he being drunk. He like, look, when I get up out of here, I'm about to, you know, put cases on all you bitches. You see what I'm saying? But at the point in time, he in subjugation to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? He can't really move how he want to move. All right? So, yeah, it's going to be a point in time where when he get out of jail, yeah, I'm going to put these cases on you, and then you're going to be back in the subjection to me. But right here, right now, you in prison, and you can't do shit about it. All right? And that's where we at. We just got to be mindful of that. All right? And just do our due diligence to be patient and stay humble. All right, be meek. Jumping back into but still the scriptures. We're gonna go to the book of Jeremiah. It's Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 14. It says, is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? The young lions roared upon him and yelled, and they have made his land waste, and his cities are burned without inhabitants. So the question is like a, you know, it's like somebody sitting down to the Most High, seeing the whole scheme of everything, watching the whole movie, and criticizing the movie. Like, you know, I can imagine myself doing this, watching the whole movie of life, but like, you know what I'm saying? Oh, Most High, oh, Yahweh, Father Abba. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, is Israel a slave, a homeborn slave? Is he a natural slave? Like, that was his lot, bruh. Every carnation homeboy is in. Every level of this damn Nebuchadnezzar's dream statue that we go through. Every civilization, every time frame, every time period. Israel is always in captivity under somebody. All right, except for these two small brief times, Israel's been in captivity from the day they was born even unto this day. Is that his lot, his position? Is that what he was created for? You know, is that what he's supposed to be doing? Is that his position? All right. It says, is Israel a homeborn slave? Salaki, is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? The young lions roared upon him and yelled. They made his land waste. They made his land waste, and the cities are burned without inhabitants. So these other nations came up and devoured us. Everybody just eating up off of us. Going back to that prophecy of how all the nations of the earth gonna be blessed through our seed, you know, and that's basically what you see going on. You know, they eating up off of our backs. All right. I'm gonna just briefly run through this real fast, but just describing some of the conditions of being in captivity. You know, it's a bitter pill to swallow. All right. This is us in our captivity. All right, and Egypt. All right, I'm gonna just jump around to the straight to the point. Let me just get it for edification's sake. This is Exodus 1 and 8. It says, "Now there arose up a new king over Egypt that knew not Joseph, and he said unto the people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them." All right, just like we read in Psalms 83. All right, about the crafty counsel of these people taken against us, and we know, according to Genesis 27 and verse 41, all right, that this is what's in Esau's heart. This is what he wanted to do. He wanted to kill and exterminate us, and he the head of this conglomeration. All right, and the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He the one in rulership, so everybody listening to him anyway. All right, but they're saying here again, well, this was the Egyptians, but it says, "Come, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass, when there falleth out any war, they join also with our enemies to fight against us, so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters, all right, to afflict them in their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh the treasure cities of Pitmoth and Ramses." Now, real quick, jumping into this here word taskmasters, just like in modern days today, you got your supervisors and your managers and things like that, right? Same thing you have today. They just give them different names. All right, a taskmaster, it says a gang or a body. First and foremost, this is a conglomeration of people, a group. Just like you have different levels of management and things like that, companies, higher ups, and all these different people, human resources, production manager. Some people have, like at our job, plant controller, things like that, right? It says a gang or a body of forced laborers, all right? Forced laborers, task workers, labored band, gang force, service task, task work, serfdom, which is slavery, tributary, tribute, levies. Basically, all that's you paying taxes, tributary, and slavery, all right? Taskmasters, discomfited, labor bands, labor gang, slave gang, all right? Basically, it's a bunch of people with plantation owners and shit like that. Slave patrol, body of people who use slaves for slave labor. You know what I'm saying? These types of people, all right? So these are the people that they set up over top of you, all right? It says, "Therefore did they set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens." So this basically just for their pleasure and pain, their pleasure and entertainment and your pain, just basically to just kill you off, basically, Now from there I'm gonna jump to now I'll close out with this. This is the book of Haggai 1 and 6, speaking more about these conditions while you're in captivity here, This is Haggai 1 and 5, actually. It says, "Now therefore thus saith Yahweh of hosts, consider your ways." All right, and just think about it right now. Think of your conditions you in. Is this not the scenario? Is this not the case? All right, you have sown much and bring in little. You eat but have not enough to drink. You eat but you have not enough. You drink but you're not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but you have none, but there is none to warm, Just dealing with that on the carnal sense, food, water, and shelter and clothing, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you know what I'm saying? We never really have enough of that. We got the so-called hand-me-downs and second-rate food and food stamps, whatever we got to get by, you know what I'm saying? Living on Section 8 and however we got to get it to live, But also in a more spiritual sense, all these things give us a sense of stability, resources to survive, and all these different things like that, Look at the condition of Jake right now. Again, we all in fucked up stances where we broken spiritually, mentally, and physically due to our lack of so-called resources and things to keep us stabilized, all right? Continuing on, it says, he that earneth wages to put in a bag with holes, all right? Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, consider your ways. So, Jake have this thing where they say, oh, we live in paycheck to paycheck, That's how it's going to be, man. You're never going to really have enough, man. There's that glass or that glass ceiling or whatever you can't get by, That's why these celebrities have to sell out to be able to get that. They have to sell their soul to get that, Basically, roughly paraphrasing, what shall a man profit, but and lose his own soul, But nevertheless, this is what it's like being in this captivity, in this bondage. This ain't our rest. It's polluted. It's gonna destroy you. These are the things here that these are the conditions we have to live in. The so-called feelings you would more than likely come across being in this here bondage. These are the conditions of being in bondage. These are the conditions that our people are suffering. That's why you see them drinking and smoking and being on all kind of drugs and doing all kind of crazy things like that because they trying to escape the reality. And what's the reality? The reality of what? That they are what? In the matrix. Or what? What's the matrix? That you are a slave, you know? They just removed the bars and enslaved our mind, you know? Beforehand, we used to rebel because we was physically in captivity. We saw that, but now they enslaved our mind and took everything away from us. We don't really rebel as much, but we still feel the pressure of captivity. So we try to escape from that so-called reality. All right. But that's just a lesson, you know, kind of going into what it's like basically in captivity, you know, the types of things you would be encountering in captivity, you know, not to so-called dwell on it or get beat down by it. This is just how it is. But the good thing about it is we're about to get up out of here soon, you know. And don't look at it strange on another brother when they catching hell and these things like that, because these are the conditions that the Lord said we was gonna be in, you know. These are the things that you know, we will be suffering from. All right, what we need to be saved from, you know. And also not to brag and boast in your position because you're an Israelite and the son of the Most High, that you should go and try to boast yourself over Esau and his rulership. This is still his kingdom until it's all the way done. All right, until it's no longer his kingdom, it's still his kingdom. And until we out of captivity and been redeemed, we still in captivity. All right, so we're going to go ahead and close out with that, saying, Call halal Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, Rakah Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you. I can push this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions, to feed and edify the elect. All right, stay strong. Shalom.